This design looks amazing, or does it? Poor alignment, bad typography, weak color contrast, overcrowded layouts. Can you find the mistakes before I do? Welcome back to my weekly graphic design training. Today we're reviewing this design, fixing every mistake and turning it into something professional. So let's get started. If you want your design to feature in any of our upcoming design review training, simply make use of the Telegram link in the description section of this video to join the Ceasar Empowerment Foundation Telegram group and send your design to any of the admins aside from Ceasar Graphics. When you do that, your design will surely get to me. Okay, so this is the design I received during the week from a subscriber, and I'm going to quickly share what is not working in this project. Then I'll go straight to the redesigned version of this project. Okay, so here we have too many contrasts in this project and the elements are not properly arranged. And this affected the main purpose of the design. The cloud and the colors used on the sky here, all right, are not, really okay. So I need to make my brush bigger. All right, so this sky here is not, it's not okay. So it's affecting, the message. So the sun, the sun look like a vector shape. All right, we should have something like, like blood effect around the sun. So here, this is looking to, sharp, and it made it look like a vector, and it didn't really make this look like a real image. All right, and the shadows are too faded. All right, if you look at the shadow in the project, you notice everything looks too faded. If you look at this side here, you notice, we have faded shadows here, and then the shadow below the characters here are not really, visible. They are too faded, and this really made the project look dull. The depth between the fence and the tree here, all right, the depth between the trees and the fence here is not balanced, and this affected, the success of the design. The purpose of every design project is to tell a story, and that is why all the elements need to work together as a team to make the composition achieve, the goal. So let's go straight to the redesigned version of this project, where I'm going to share my process on how I think and how I put together design elements to tell story. All right, so yeah, I still use the same image from the character, but I decided to change the message because the elements the designer put together to achieve the project did not really pass the message, because the goal in the project is to promote Ashoke. And what the designer did here is just the putting together of the elements, which did not really capture the focus, all right, why the project exists. And so I decided to use this African village image to help connect the outfit of the characters and the message in the project to really make everything balanced. And that's the reason why I decided to use the African image, African village image that you have on the background. Now, I can't just use the image like that. I need to make this look like a real picture, like the elements belong together. So I decided to get this, picture of a cloud to really help make, the story more interesting, because, the project needs to look colorful. All right, the project needs to look very, not very, colorful, because of the message we're trying to pass here. The goal here is to make people, like Ashoke. So one of the ways we make people to depict happiness, to depict joy in graphic design, is to make our project look colorful. So the reason why I decided to apply the brush effect to the background is to help blend the landscape image of the village to the sky. All right, so where I got this color was from the from the image, the village image. I picked the color from the sky and then applied to the layer that I created and then make it blend well with the background. And working this way is one of the ways you can, make your photo manipulation project connect well. Now, before putting together the element, it's always best to first know the message. You need to first understand why the project. And that's the reason why I decided to put all this image that I'm about to put together here to achieve, the project. And another thing that really inspired this was the color from the outfit of the characters, because if you look at the color on the outfit of the characters, we have green, we have we have green, and then the color on their skin is orange. So this was what inspired the ground. All right, because if you look at the color on the ground, I'm talking of the color on the ground of the village. You notice it connects with the color on the, it blends with the color on the face of the people. And that's the reason why I decided to use, this image. Now, if the color on their outfit is different from the color that I have on the village, then I may have to do some color tweaking to make that, blend well. So the reason why I'm teaching you guys this here is, you see, when putting together images, it's always best to know how to blend colors, like how to use colors that are already on your illustration. I know so many designers make this mistake. The color on your illustration should inspire the color you're going to use in the project or throughout the project. And that's the reason why, I decided to use the colors that you guys are looking at here on your screen. Now, you'll notice that the color on the sky, the blue color on the sky, did not really, blend well with the the color from the sky. But you guys are going to see how I'm going to blend this well to make this really, connect well in my project. But like I said, what inspired all this color I'm using here, I mean, the color I'm using in the project here is the color that we have on, the characters. All right. Then, yeah. So I decided to use this ground image to fill that white part that we have in the project, because if I don't do this, there's no way that people will see it as a professional project. So I decided to get the image from the internet, which you guys can get the exercise file link from the description section of this video, and watch how I'm going to use curve to make the colors balance. So I selected the brush tool and fade the edges of the frame in order to make this blend well with the village image. All right, because you need to you need to blend the edges of the mask in order to make this blend well, and that's what I did here. So I'm trying to help make I don't want the crop part of the village frame to show, and that's the reason why I adjusted the layer mask of the image to cover that part where we can see the frame. Now you see how I was able to use curve to achieve the color from the ground. So I double click on the eyedropper tool, the third eyedropper tool from my curve adjustment, and then sample the color from the village ground and click on the highlight part on the village ground, and also apply it to the highlighted part on the second image to really make the colors blend correctly. And now you can see that our sky now is beginning to blend well. And what actually made this balance is because there's this thing called gradient. All right, there's this gradient effect that you need to always apply whenever you're achieving sky in photo manipulation. Your sky should not be too, I mean, the value of the color on your sky should not be too uniform. You should have this linear effect on it. And that's the reason why you can see my sky looking this perfect. So I achieved the linear gradient effect on the sky to really make this look balanced. So always have this in mind. So I found out that the way the designer arranged the pictures is not okay. When you're arranging pictures, most especially when you have multiple pictures that you're to use in your project and you want to achieve space, one of the ways you can make this work well in your project is to arrange them like the way things appear to you in real life, where objects that are closer to you, they look bigger, and the objects that are far from you, which is the ones that recede, they look smaller. And that's the reason why I decided to make the move here, where making the people behind smaller. And what I did here was I looked at the size of the head of the two characters. I tried as much as possible to make the size of the head of the people behind uniform, all right, in order to make it look like they are both on the same line. I hope somebody get that message there. So what I'm trying to do here is to also achieve uniform, like achieve unity, excuse me. I'm trying to achieve unity here, where having touch of the sky color, all right, on the character, in order to make it look like there's unity in the project. And that's the reason why I'm applying this move here, where I'm applying the highlight to the body of the character here. So working this way is one of the ways you can make it look like your background and what you place on the foreground belong together. All right. So I also added this white highlight to, should I say bright orange here, highlight to the character, in order to actually make this look like a realistic rim light. So I made my brush size smaller and still applied the brush to the same spots again, but this time I did not apply it like the way I applied the very first rim light to the body of the character. I'm talking of extending it to the like making it too much, like the way I applied the very first highlight rim light to the body of the character. So working this way is one of the ways you can achieve unity in photo manipulation. And I hope this is making sense to you. Now, there's something I did not remember to share with you, which the designer did well. The color on the face of the characters and the shadow on their body is beautiful, because I noticed he used camera raw to achieve that. So what he did there was very okay. All right. Now I still made the shadow on the body of the characters a bit darker. The reason is because if you look at my background, is bright. All right. So when you're putting together images, it's always best to achieve contrast through the use of light and dark. And that's the reason why I decided to still make the body part of the characters a bit darker, excuse me, to really help make the contrast in the project more stronger. And that's why you see me drawing all this marquee selection on the body of the character and apply curve and make the image darker. So I'm actually looking at the ground, because if you look at the ground, you notice the ground is brighter, and it will make sense if you have two bright elements on each other. Placing a bright element on another element is not going to work. It's going to make the project look too boring. And that's the reason why I decided to make the move here. Now, I added color balance because I still want to have touch of that orange color on the character. Why? Because you see, doing this is one of the ways you can make it look like the elements belong together, which is what I am going to advise every one of you to start doing. When you are doing photo manipulation and you want it to look like your elements belong together, it's always best to have touch of the colors that you have on the environment on your subject. Is another way you achieve unity, where achieving photo manipulation is concerned. I hope somebody get that. And if this is making sense to you, please, I would appreciate if you can drop a message in the comment section and let me know. Okay. Yeah, so I added the curve, and yeah, so the same move is what I applied to the lady. The image, the outfit is too bright, so I decided to apply curve to it to to tone down the brightness a bit in order to really make contrast in the project balance. And there's another thing I did here, which is the angle where the light is coming from. All right, because if you look at the guy on the right, you'll notice that the front side of his outfit is bright. So I decided to use that the light effect on his body as the source where the light is coming from. And that's what inspired the applying the rim light to the part on the applying of the rim light to the part of the body of the characters. All right, so I decided to use that guy as the source where the light is coming from. And that's another thing you need to also do whenever you're doing photo manipulation. It's always best to know the angle where your light is coming from. And that's the same thing that inspired the light I applied to this lady. So I decided to make it look like the light is coming from that guy on the right side, and that's why I decided to make this move. All right, and I hope it's making sense, because to me it's making sense. It's making sense to me, and if it's making sense to you also, I would appreciate if you can please drop a message and let me know. Okay. All right, so it's always best to zoom out and zoom in to check if your composition is looking the way you want it, because I know you guys, I'm sure you'll notice I'm zooming in and out here. I'm trying to check if what I'm doing is okay, because if you don't zoom out and zoom in, there's no way you will know if you're doing the right thing. And that's the reason why I decided I decided to do the move of zooming in and out here. So yeah, the footwear of the guy is too bright, so I decided to also make that a bit darker. Now, when you're making this move, it's not always nice to make your project too dark. I notice so many designers always make this mistake. You always apply shadow to your illustration or your composition to the point where the details on your illustration will not be visible again. It's not always best to work this way. At least make the details visible. Those details also have story that they tell in the design. So it's always best to make them visible. And that's why you notice that I try as much as possible not to hide the details on the characters, because I know they are very, very important. Okay. All right. So let's see. Yeah. So this is where I applied shadow to the characters. Now I noticed so many designers always make this mistake of putting all the shadows on one layer. This is not always nice, and that's the mistake I made here. I decided to do this because I want to show you guys what normally happens when you put shadows of multiple people on one layer. You'll notice that some of the the shadow on some of the characters is not going to touch their body. It will make them look like they are floating, and it's not always nice. So I decided to do this for you guys to see that it's not always good to do that. So what I did was I put the shadow of each of the characters on their separate layers in order for me to be able to move them close to the body of the characters. All right. So when you're done doing this, then you can now put them in a group where you can start, tweaking to make the effect you apply to them uniform. All right. And there are times where you do this and your shadow is not going to look the way you want it. And there's nothing that say you should not tweak your shadow. And you guys are going to see how I'm going to tweak my shadows here to really make the project look okay and balanced, because shadow is also part of how we tell story. It's part of the tools that we use to tell story in graphic design. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to make the shadow balance so as to make my story here balance. All right. And I'm sure you guys are, having fun watching me do what I'm doing here now. Okay. So I drew a shape because I noticed the shadow on the guy's leg is not, really okay. So I decided to draw a shape. We get calls a lot from people who are looking forward to go into design but can't afford to pay for design school. So because of this, we decided to start a foundation where we can be a blessing to these people. In order for us to meet our goals, we need you to support us with your donation. So if you have any amount you believe you can support us with, kindly make use of the information on the screen. Every amount that comes from you will be highly appreciated. All right, so let's go back to the tutorial. Okay, so I'm trying to see how I can make the shadow work. So so I put them in a group, all right, and convert the group to a smart object because I'm about to apply blend if to the layer. So I want the effect to be uniform. And that's the reason why I decided to put them in a group. All right. Then there's another thing I did here. So I lowered the opacity because I still want to see the texture from the ground. And I applied field blur. All right. Because when you make your shadows too sharp, it's not going to look real to the eye. So I decided to apply a field blur, okay, to the layer. Okay, so you guys can see. So I applied field blur. All right, so I'm adding those pin because I want to have a random effect of the field blur on the shadows. All right, so I decided to add pins to have different effect on it, shadow. So I decided to go back by double clicking on the field blur, field blur setting on the layer to go back and apply the field blur to the to the part where I want to have the field blur on the layer. So I faded the shadows a bit because yeah, the way we see shadow is this: when the shadow is closer to you, it comes stronger, and when it's far from you, like as it's getting far from you, it start getting softer. I'm talking of the visibility of the shadow, and that's the reason why I decided to fade the tip of the shadow to really make this look more real. All right, yeah, so like I said, it's always best to go back and check if your shadow is looking the way you want it, because there are times where Photoshop is not going to give you the exact look you're looking for. So you have to be the one to go back and tweak things to look the way you want it to look. And that's the reason why you see me do what I'm doing now. Okay. All right. So I still make the the characters a bit darker because, like I said, I want to really create that contrast between the background and the foreground. So the shoe of the characters and their legs, I decided to apply curve to make that part more darker because the contrast between the shadow and their leg is looking too strong. I mean, like it's looking like that shadow doesn't belong to them. So I decided to make their leg a bit darker to really make the shadow and their leg more stronger in terms of achieving unity. And another thing I did here is to take out the highlights that I have on their legs, because the outfit should cover the leg to the point where we won't have enough light on it. All right. And that's the reason why I decided to make all these movies. You know, when you're saying characters are outside, like you want to create a scene where you want it to look like your subject is outside and not inside. All right. It's always best to limit the amount of highlights that you have on them, because when there's too much highlight on them, it's going to make it look like they are actually cropped from a picture and place them on another background. So that's the reason why, I decided to turn off or delete those, or reduce. Should I say reduce? Okay, I'll say reduce. Reduce the highlights that I have on the the characters. So on this lady's picture here, I found out that the color on her is too oversaturated. So I decided to draw a selection marquee on her to turn down the to reduce the color that we have on her. So I hold down shifts as I draw the marquee selection around her body, in order not to, in order for Photoshop not to deselect the previous selection. So I added hue/saturation uh, to reduce the saturation, and use color balance to achieve the color, the tone of the color that I have in the project. So the lady's skin is similar to the house that we have behind her. So I decided to still achieve that touch of the color that we have on that house on her skin, because it looks as if she and the two guys are the people with the dark skin in the picture. So that house behind them is what I use as a reference to achieve the color on their face. Like I said, it's always best to use the color that you have on the environment. It's always best to have touch of those color on the body of your characters, in order to achieve unity in the project. And I hope this is easy for you guys to understand. If you're finding this interesting, please drop a message in the comment section and let me know, because as it is right now, it looks as if I'm the only one enjoying what I'm doing, and that is not the goal. The goal is for you two guys to learn and enjoy what I'm doing here. So if this is making sense to you, please let me. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, what else again? So I decided to add this fog brush to the middle ground, because I really want to achieve separation between the background and what I have on the foreground. So I decided to add the fog brush to the project, to achieve separation between the background and the foreground. All right, so that's the idea behind applying the fog brush to the project. So I noticed that my sky is too dark. All right, and it's not really making the contrast between what I have on the foreground more, stronger. I'm talking of the separation between what I have on the foreground and the background more stronger. So I decided to make the background more brighter, in order to really make that separation between the foreground and the background stronger. All right. So I decided to draw this marquee selection here to really select the area, where I want to apply the adjustment layer. So now I'm applying my brush to the mask to make the area where I want the effect to be visible in the project. All right. So then I selected the soft rounded brush to fade the effect on the background, to really make this look more realistic to the eye. All right. And I picked the color from the shadow of the characters and apply it to the bottom part of the project, because I know I'm going to be placing some information on that area of the project. So I decided to do that in order to help make that information visible. All right, because when you're creating photo manipulation, or let me say if you're creating a movie poster, all right, or let's say, okay, let's go back to photo manipulation here, and you have text that you're going to place in the project, it's always best to consider this. It's always best to to create the area where you're going to place the text. Make sure you make that part uh, 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 good enough for whatever you place on it to be visible. So because I know the text I'm going to be placing on that area of my project is going to be white, so I decided to make that area dark. All right, then so I went to camera raw after stamp visibly the project, because I first stamp visible the project and I converted it to a smart object, and I went straight to camera raw. So I applied all this move here to really make the contrast in the project more stronger, because I really want to make this look more interesting to the eye of the viewers. So I decided to make the shadow I decided to separate the shadow and the highlight correctly. And I want the colors to be uniform, and that's why I went to this part of the camera raw, which is the color grading, to really make the color on the mid-tone, the shadow, and the highlights uniform. So I'm on the shadow part here now. I'm trying to make the shadow uniform. All right. So this is going to look at the project and look at where we have dark areas and apply this color to that area. All right. I hope somebody get that. Okay. Then I hit the OK button and I went straight to the parts of applying type or the text to the project. All right. And yeah, so this part here is also one of the important parts, because I notice so many designers still don't understand that the font you use in your project also have something to do with how you make the story in the project balance. So because I know this is talking about African outfit, so I decided to use this display handwriting character here to really make that story in the project more uniform and balanced. So I notice here that the lady's body is hidden, like the background and the lady's body, they blend together because of the rim light we have around her. So I decided to apply the brush to really create that separation between her and the background. Okay, so yeah, then if you want to know the font I use here, I'm going to drop it in the description section of this video so you guys can have the font in your computer. All right, I'm sure you enjoyed this tutorial and I can wait to see your comments. If you know anyone you believe need to watch this tutorial, kindly share the link with them. And if you have not subscribed, remember to hit the subscribe button and remember to click the post notification bell so you get notified when I post my tutorials. Give this video a thumbs up if you love it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again in the next one. Peace.